This is block 102 from Crest, Cabernet, and this is a very cool climate for Cabernet. So we tend to leave this wine, these grapes out until probably the last week in October to get sugar. Because in the state they call me Sugar Ray because I go for real high sugars.
That's why I asked.
But it's not. We're waiting for flavor. It's not that I'm picking high sugar. I'm waiting for flavors in the vineyard. So this is one of our better blocks, very small block, but as you can see, it's still on time. Hey, I just had coffee and eggs. This should go great with it. That's about it. Ah, beautiful. This is the 04. This is going to be released, I think, it may already be released. It's either September or October. This was bottled back in January. So a little bit of this vineyard went into it. Wow. Another 90, huh? And it's been a good run. I've been up here 14 years, and it's been really exciting up here for about 13 of the 14. The first year was very challenging because I had not worked with the fruit, so it took me time to learn the fruit up here. But it's been great. Okay, as you can see with this vineyard, because it's a cooler climate, we're exposing everything. We want maximum sunlight. So you can see that's totally exposed here. Not as much on this side, but still good exposure. So in your warmer climates, you'll see a lot more foliage coming down because you'll get a lot of sunburn that way if you have it this exposed, because it is definitely a cooler climate. And it can be 95 degrees here, but when it's 95 here, it's 105 in Mattawa or Cold Creek or whatever. I picked a lot of Merlot earlier than I normally did. Usually I like Merlot, 27 to 28.5, but I've been bringing Merlot in at 26.5 to 27 because the flavors are there earlier. So it's all a matter of getting the flavor and the complexity of the fruit that you taste in the vineyard at the appropriate time. So it's not like I'm looking for these high numbers all the time. Generally with Cabernets in the areas that I'm picking at, if I don't get up in sugar, I get a green character to the fruit, so I am looking for higher sugars with the Cab. So that's kind of the theory, and we have seen that with Cab. Once it gets up to a certain brix, the green goes away. So, and then I'm out tasting. I try to get out to all these areas once, like I'll be here 4 hours and I run out to Mattawa for 6 or 7, or I'll be out here for half a day with Derek and all that. But then we'll take samples twice a week here too. So what happens with all these samples is as you taste, you're looking at the numbers. And sometimes the numbers and the samples work, but a lot of times they don't. You just go by taste. So sometimes it may tell you not to pick, but you pick anyway. And that's wine. That's the way it should be. So what happens with all these numbers, it goes on a computer sheet, which we will look at right now, and I'll show you this here. Anyway, so what we looked at was V10 Cab, which would be V10, where is it? Probably not on the sheet. Now I want to show you. Where's 102? 102. It's not on here.
It's at the very top, but there's no reason.
There's no. Anyway, so it'd be up here, but it's 25. Yeah, I said 26. It's 25.9.
Okay.
So we probably have another week with that, hopefully. And you got the tonnage there. So we look at the numbers. We just taste. Blah blah blah. This is where everything. Now we've cut this down a bit. So we've already got what?
50%.
We've got about 15,000 tons in. So this wall was like jammed all the way around. Okay. So this is why you see me running all the time. And Terry's the guy who coordinates everything here. He's a huge, huge plus in this program. If he wasn't here, I would be up the creek. Early Cab Franc from Mattawa, Cab Sauv from Mattawa. They have like 3 truckloads today, and then they're done with their vineyard. We've picked everything out there. So this is a warmer climate. This morning we were out in our own vineyards out here. And I told you it was a cooler climate. So this is coming in a week to 2 weeks sooner from a hotter area than that will be over there. So the fruit flavors will be different. They would have started picking probably at midnight.
and then they'll roll in all day. So most of the fruit that we get in up until noon is all picked at night.
And the thought process behind that?
Well, if you get your analytical numbers and the fruit flavors are there, then by picking at night you can lock in everything. Whereas if you had a very large vineyard and you were hand picking, you would start that day. 5 days later, you might have totally different analysis on your fruit. There's no right or wrong here. There's great wines made both ways. So, you know, with reserve wines, it's just a sense of artistic pride, I guess it is, that you hand pick everything, and it's whether it's any better than machining, I couldn't really answer your question. As I said earlier, we've had tastings where half the winemakers vote, you know, for the mechanical. So we're trying to get probably two things here. We're trying to get air to the wine, to get the yeast going, but it's also, the air also will balance the red wine to make it more balanced. And what we do here is we're very, very large, but every day the red wine maker and myself will walk these tanks and taste every tank. And that's how we make our decision of where, when the tannin level gets to a certain level, then we will pull these out, press it out, and then eventually blend them together. So we do a lot of winemaking in the beginning, and it takes a big, huge commitment because most of these guys are working 30, 40, 50 straight days. So it's coming from the bottom, which you just were looking at, up over the top, and we call these irrigators. So they go, so it kind of percolates through the cap very gently, so you maintain a lot of your whole berries, and then you're tasting all the time. And at some point, so if you start at 24 bricks and you're going down to 0, you're usually pulling off at 4 or 5 or 6 bricks now, where they usually let everything go dry to 0. The tannin levels are usually there way before that, so we're pulling off and keeping the very, very soft tannins. You can't really see this too well, but these are the presses. So you saw all that wine being pumped over. Eventually it gets to a sugar level and the taste level. And then we drain the tank. The skins are still in the tank, so we get the skins out of the tank, and then they go into presses. Now in the old days we used to press up to 3 bar, which means the bladder gets tighter, 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 and you almost get like these really bitter tannins. Now we're going up to like 0.05, which is nothing. It's just like barely pressing for like a half hour, and the rest we just dump because the tannins are so aggressive. In Napa, when I worked in Napa, the Cabernets were big, and we blended Merlot in to balance out the Cabernets because the Merlots were softer. Up here, the Merlots are bigger, so we blend Cabernet and Cab Franc into the Merlot to make the Merlot softer.
Why is that?
It's just because the tannin structure, the soils are a little bit different, the temperature is a little bit different up here. Maybe it's something to do with everything's on own root here instead of rootstock, and there's more clones down there. A lot of variables. A lot of climate has a big part of it. But the thing about Crest is we're straightforward. You know, we're just a straightforward winery. We're about wine. We're not about telling stories or anything. What you see is what you get, and we're into making wine here. You know, we make a lot of wine here, and some pretty damn good wines too. I think we're like we have more 90s than anybody, more bottles of 90 wines than anybody in the world. I think that's true too. Yeah. I think we got like 16 million bottles or something of 90 plus wines over the last decade.
So I guess that's the comment you would make to somebody if they say that this is a refinery rather than a winery.
Exactly. These people put in the time, we're dedicated. I think by just seeing the way we do our pump overs, we have intimate contact with our wine, and that will not change for as long as I'm here.